Hi, in this episode I'm going to be talking about GhostCatcher by Grandstand. Grandstand was a company that operates in the UK and New Zealand and released a lot of electronic games in the 80s. This one in particular was released in 1989. It's with my copy when I was a child, and I'm going to give it a clean and put a new battery in because it's been in storage for quite a while now and it's got a bit grimy over the years. So here it is. I don't think there's too much wrong with it, other than it's a bit dirty and it needs a new battery. This could well be one of the first things I ever took apart, as I remember taking it apart when I was pretty young. So to take it apart, there are 5 Phillips screws on the back, one of which holds the battery. I'll start by taking that out, and that's just a screw on the top. And once that's removed, the whole top just slides up. And now the battery is loose. The battery I'm taking out, which may be an original, is an A76 cell battery, and the battery I'm putting in is an AG13, which is just the same by another name. So before I take it all apart, I'll just try it with a new battery. That way I know if I actually make things worse. Great, all seems to be working. That's just a case of cleaning it all up. Now I'll remove the rest of the screws. With it all apart, you can see on the front the PCB is still screwed in, and on the back there's a piezoelectric speaker. The speaker is actually a really nice design in that it connects via these 2 springs, where a lot of similar products at the time would actually have the speaker soldered in, which made it a lot more difficult to take apart due to the fact the speakers would actually be stuck to the plastic by melting the edges, so you'd have to cut that melted plastic to get the speaker out. There are 4 Phillips screws holding on the PCB. On the front of the PCB you'll see it's mainly made up of contacts for the buttons and the screen, and there's a big blob of resin in the centre which is covering all the logic. The screen itself is really interesting. It's made up of a number of layers which when all combined help to make up the image. I go into a lot more detail explaining this in another video I've made explaining how LCDs work, and if you're interested in that, check out the link. The buttons use a typical silicon with graphics contact, and as you can see all the buttons use exactly the same contact pad. This would help cut down the cost of production, as you would need to make different types of contact pads for different buttons. And here it is all apart. So now I'll clean it up and put it all back together. It's not too bad inside, but as you can see there's a little bit of dirt on the contacts. So I've cleaned the whole board with the IPA, isopropyl alcohol, and that should be enough to remove all the dirt. And I'll use the IPA to clean the contact pads too. To clean the outer casing I'm using Windex, and I'm using a cotton bud as it helps get in all the smaller areas like the buttonholes and the creases. And I'll also clean the whole thing using a paper towel. With the shell done, I'll also do the buttons. So now to clean the screen. I'm starting by cleaning it gently with some IPA and a cotton bud, trying just to remove all the dirt that might be sharp and scratchy. This polarizer is actually the outside screen, so as you can see it's the dirtiest. So once I've done that, I'll use some Windex and some kitchen towel and give it a good clean. With everything clean, it's ready to assemble. As I mentioned in my LCD video, the order in which the screen go best together is very important. So it's best to take a note when taking it apart, although I should have said that earlier. But as a general rule, if you forget, when it's all back together, if you can see the background image, you're probably okay. These are the battery contacts that push up against the PCB. In fact, all the contacts with the PCB are just pressure based. Like these strips on the screen just press against the board. With it all back together, we're going to give it a quick clean with some furniture polish and give it a play. As you can see, it's all working great. So one last thing I'll do. When it was new, it came with a plastic tab which went in this hole. This cuts the contact to the battery. And as I'm going to be sitting this on my shelf, I'm going to make a replacement. I'm using the plastic the battery came in, as it's a good thickness and somewhat appropriate. I'll cut a thin strip the width of the hole. And check if it fits. And just trim the end that was glued to the cardboard. And now to try it out. Perfect. So once it's all in, I'll just fold it over and then I can cut a good length. it's done. It was great to look at this again, brought back a lot of memories from my childhood. Let me know if you had one. I believe there's 4 in this design, so if you have one of the others, I'd love to hear about it. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, it really helps if you like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.